Welcome to Daggercast. This is Lindsey Charles, your host, lead singer of the Cell Phones, musician, lover of horror, and it is the best month of the year, second only to August. That's my birthday month. October. I've had such a good time. The leaves have been gorgeous in Indiana. Also, I have paint on myself because I'm working on a costume for my band in Louisville called Steak Weight. Um, look that up. Try to look that up. We have a show, and I decided that I wanted to be like something very like generic Halloween, but I wanted it to be like extremely depressing because, man, October's been great, but the real horror is coming in November on the 5th specifically. We're all just trying to stay sane, safe and sane here at Daggercast Co. So yeah, well, here's my costume though. It's a jack-o'-lantern, but he's crying uncontrollably. Oh, he's so sad. I wanted it to be like the saddest thing possible, so I'm very proud of it that I am covered in paint. Um, anyway, I don't know where you can find me. You can email us at daggercastinfo@gmail.com. You can find us on all the socials. Please feel free to talk. Would love to hear your opinion about any and everything, specifically horror related. A couple of movies that I have seen recently that I have just adored nonstop, just so good. The Substance. I think it's a masterpiece. I think that Cronenberg walked so that that could run. I feel like it has made body horror both accessible and relevant to women aging, to Hollywood women aging, and just that whole thing. I saw a lot of Megan Qualley's ass, which wasn't bad, but could have been more. My husband, who we just had our 10-year anniversary, love you, Ryan. We his he hasn't seen the movie yet, but when I described the ass, he said, "Yeah, that's not enough ass for me." He said it needs to have that cottage cheese texture, and I'm like, "That's my guy. That's my freaking guy." He is like the opposite of Dennis Quaid in that movie. So I don't know, it was just really refreshing to hear that. Glad the man loves my cottage cheese ass. Anyway, oh, secondly, a movie that completely surprised me across the board. And I'm beating on my desk. That's why the camera keeps shaking. I'm gonna stop doing that. The biggest surprise for me was a movie that we saw. Ryan and I had kind of like a little date night where we did the Irvington Halloween Festival, which if you are in Indianapolis, you know about the Irvington Halloween Festival. We have so many ghosts in this neighborhood. We love Halloween. Then I got to go see a movie, and then I got to go to Hannah Haunted Acres, and it was a literally like a wonderful slash terrifying little day. But we saw Smile too. And Ryan told me that one of his podcast people said that it was a masterpiece. And I was like, really? Because the first one was good. Very wonderful. One of my friends was in it. And it was a really good, I mean, I thought it was a pretty scary, good movie. But this is on a whole nother level. It was so scary and so just consistently pounding you with scares that like you weren't comfortable for a while. Like after a while, like Ryan said that he was exhausted and drained because there was never a moment where you were off the hook. The scares were completely original, were completely like mind-bending. You didn't know what the scare was gonna be. You'd see something really scary, you'd see a creepy smile, and you'd be like, what's gonna fucking happen next? And a lot of times you would not be able to guess what the scare was gonna be. And that was the part, like that was what scared me a lot. I thought the actors were insane. I love how I feel like maybe they only cast that main character because she could chug water like no one I've ever seen. Like Voss bottle after Voss bottle. But anyway, I thought, please go see this movie. Go see it in the theaters. Um, it seriously was terrifying and it was so entertaining, and like the ending is just so like it was very I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just gonna tell you to go see it. Just go see it. Um this reminds me of like I don't know how I felt when I saw Anchorman for the first time. Like that was a movie that we all were like, this is gonna blow. Why are we seeing this in theaters? And then the whole time I was just guffawing um from the idiocy, from the just craziness of it. And it was definitely one of those movies where it was like, oh God, like I would watch this all the time. So yeah, I don't know. It just reminded me of like being pleasantly surprised. Or when I saw like 2021 Jump Street, like the one with Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. Like that first one was fucking hilarious, but shocking. Like completely shocking that I was so entertained. And yeah, Smile 2 was it was art. It was shockingly entertaining. And so yeah, go see it right now. Um Now on to our guest. I am very excited. This was one of Jared's old friends that he plays music with often. It was kind of funny when he emailed, he said, "Oh, like, why have I not asked this guy?" This is a friend that he plays with quite a bit. His name is Tony Young. Some people know him as Top 40 Tony. Apparently, he did some public access stuff and then also called into a radio station to WGN Radio. He has a specific skill. Man is a fountain of wisdom. Extremely knowledgeable about quite a lot of things. Really like filled me in about Halloween garage rock, which I knew a little bit about, but he knew a lot more. He's great. He really loved classic horror. And yeah, I won't reveal the special skill. You'll see it in the interview. But yeah, this is our interview with Top 40 Tony. There was a bit of I don't know, Zoom call glitchiness. It happens, but you may not hear some of what he says, but you do get the gist. Ooh, and also, this is my two Blue Island pop-up tattoo things. Every time that we play Blue Island, I get a tattoo for some reason. This is one for the cell phones, but this is my fangs from Halloween. So anyway, I'm sorry, I noticed that I'm looking at myself filming this, and I was like, "Ooh, check out my Halloween!" My kid was also a vampire this year, so it kind of meant a lot to me to get some vampire fangs. And I got some with my best friend Garrett. He got it in a naughty place though. But anyway, here's our interview with Tony Young. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with us, Tony. We very much appreciate it. Yeah, thank how's your evening been so far?
Weird.
Oh no. Yikes. On a Tuesday? Come on. Can't have weird on a Tuesday. Unless it's good weird. In preparation for this interview, my production manager, Jared, gave me a couple things to listen to, and one of them was your guest starring on WGN Radio, where they mentioned that you had a specific gift, and that was to if somebody gave you a date between roughly the 50s and the 90s that you could rattle off the number one hit of that day.
Yeah. That's yeah.
You, I feel like you say it like, yes, it's my
Yep.
cross to bear. Like
Kind of is.
I
But
mean,
go on ahead.
for real. I vaguely, I mean, and this wasn't something that, I mean, this is something that I kind of did to like make myself calm down, but I know every Oscar award-winning picture from 1927 to current. And it was because I like read a book on memory and like wanted to do like a, I don't know, like a memory palace of some kind. Um, so I'm
That's
intrigued,
kind
like,
of how I learned what I do.
sorry, what?
That's kind of how I learned my thing. know,
Oh, okay. Okay, because I was going to ask if it was kind of the same process or not.
no.
That's
Mhm.
great. It's funny, in the middle of literally like having a baby, my husband was like, Lindsay, go through your memory palace and tell me all the best films. And I did, and it actually like for a good hour, no, it wasn't even an hour. It was like 30 minutes of I was like all of
Mhm.
the labor pains were gone because I was thinking about something else. Um, but I wanted to ask because, and again, I'm not like, d like no press. But when I was listening to this radio thing, I was like, ooh, I wonder if he'll get mine. I mean, he'll have to. I know mine. So August 26th, 1984.
August 26, 1984, huh? Yeah, okay. So that's 4, 11, 18, 25. You said August 26th you were born?
Mm-hmm.
So you were born on a Sunday?
Uh-huh. Wow.
Okay, all right, you were born on a Sunday. All right, so 4, 11, 18, 20. So that's after Ghostbusters. So it might be the first day of What's Love Got to Do with It by Tina Turner.
Ooh, so it was weird. The internet told me like, oh, the week of August 25th
That's
was
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
And then the
But
next
yeah,
song after it, the next
that's
song after it, that's What's Love Got to Do with It by Tina Turner.
amazing. Oh my gosh. Because yeah, I was like, I don't know how you even read this because like how does Billboard even work? Does it do it like by day or does it do it by
Mhm.
week?
Yeah, it's every week.
Okay.
It's weekend. It's been weekending dates,
Okay.
generally ever since August 4th, 1958, when they started their Hot 100. That's the first.
Amazing. That is an amazing talent. And yes, you're absolutely correct. Because I was like, I knew the two and was like, I don't know which is like which you would apply to the 26th. But I did know the Ghostbusters one. I was like, how apropos to a
Yeah,
horror
because
podcast.
that's generally the bracket date. When
Nice.
it switches from one to the other.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. I that is something I
That
did not know. Um, so obviously you're into music. Can you kind of tell me kind of what, I don't know, what your musical background is?
well, I can play. I played. Well, first time when I started when I was a kid, I played drums when I was in high school,
Man.
and I played bassoon. I took bassoon for 4 years. I actually learned how to play drums on my own when I wanted to play drums in high school band. They said they got 14 drums, so I ended up playing bassoon.
Nice.
And I got um, along the way, I learned guitar. My mom got me this little cheap guitar, and I learned how to play it. And I didn't learn how to I didn't learn how to play bass, which is like the instrument. I didn't learn how to do that, really start picking it up really well till I was in my 20s. I was about like 27, 28. But
Wow.
that's the instrument that made me feel a lot like I would, more like I was a musician rather than just playing instruments. So, just that.
That's interesting that's there are two different feelings. Like there is one where you're just like playing an instrument and then one where you're like, wait a minute, I could like express myself through this,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
almost.
You couldn't have used a better phrasing. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I
Awesome.
didn't search for it. It just kind of found me. It's one of those kinds of things.
That's amazing. Yeah, I feel like I've gone in and out of instruments. I still feel like I could learn something though. I'm just turned 40 and I'm just like I could probably still like figure something out, but vocals for me have just been always my thing. Um to me that it's like the easiest way to convey an idea is by screaming it. So like that's kind of what I've always done even though I've like tried many times to play like a guitar or something. So that's
Oh,
awesome. So no wonder
it's really
no wonder you're friends with our production manager. He is a musician extraordinaire. So,
No, he's cool. He's cool. He's really something else. Seriously, I'm not just saying that because he knows me. But yeah, he's always been pretty much on top of his game for like
seriously,
young,
one of my favorite songwriters
young.
ever.
He's young
Yeah.
kid, which he still actually looks like. If you notice, he doesn't. He ages really well.
Oh yeah. Which I'm yeah, no, he always be looking good, no matter what, like whether the facial hair is there or not. Man's always looking good. And it's so funny because he's the only one currently on the Zoom that is not pictured. Um, so people are just gonna have to find
Deal
pictures of
with it,
Jared.
yeah.
And he's like right now, he's like, no, don't do it. Um, anyway,
Yeah,
Tony,
go ahead.
this is a horror podcast. So, not only do we like to talk about music, but we also like to talk about horror. And I would like to ask you kind of what was your first brush with horror films?
Oh man, see, I'm an older guy, so like, check this out. In Chicago TV, like when I was a little boy, on Saturday night, man, they had this show this thing they did on WGN TV Channel 9 called Creature Features.
Ooh.
Yeah, Creature Features, where they had um, the classic ones, Frankenstein, The Mummy, Dracula. But my man, Lon Chaney Jr., the
Mm-hmm.
Wolfman, and the reason why I connected with that was he was the only one of them that didn't seem to be very comfortable with what his role was. He
Oh.
didn't like it at all, and it bought up. And like of the four of them, he was very. I think he was a better actor than Bela Lugosi. I really do.
You know, I'm a Lon Chaney fan, the whole line of Lon Chaney's. I loved Lon Chaney Sr. So I am okay with that statement.
He was Lon Chaney Sr. was the original Phantom of the Opera, wasn't he?
Hmm.
That's what I
He
remember.
was also in a wonderful movie. I forget if it's I think it's the horror or the terror, but he like literally plays a character where uh he's like in a circus and he pretends to not have any arms, and so he literally does like the majority of his things with his feet. So he like plays guitar with his feet, he like shaves with his feet, and he like had to learn how to do all that. And it's literally like the whole like he's in love with this girl, and the girl's like, "Oh, I hate men and their grubby hands." And he was like, "Well, I don't have any hands." So you can love me, you can but then he's like secretly conning her. He like unstraps himself out of this thing and he's got arms. So it's like it's such a good movie. But I'm such a Chaney fan. But yeah, you were definitely onto something regarding Wolfman, because it's true. Like whereas like Dracula is literally like, I mean, for hundreds of years he's been this thing. Frankenstein kind of just got born. He was born this way.
He was put together. Yeah, he was put together. Did you
Yeah,
know that? You
literally.
know that song? That song Frankenstein, by the way, by the Edgar Winter Group, the instrumental. It's got that name because it's made up from pieces. The whole instrumental is made up from pieces. It was a half an hour long or more, and they assembled all 4 minutes of 45 seconds from different splices in the master tape.
Oh, that's amazing. I had no idea. That's so cool.
Mhm. Yeah, but if you know the Larry Talbot, this guy, remember just how just he looked really, really sad about his predicament, like
Yeah.
until he became it, you know. And I connected with that when I was younger, and then, man, when I was like, I'd say about 10. It would have been 10 or 11. That was when I first saw The Night of the Living Dead, the
Ooh.
original 1968 George A. Romero. You want to talk about a brother having a hard day. Oh,
Right.
yeah, but like I didn't expect that to turn into the kind of movie it did. I didn't
Uh-huh.
realize it was going to get that gruesome. Freaked me out, but I watched it the whole way through. Yeah. Ought to take you out there and feed you those things. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I to me it's like it's one of the best like I don't know, it's one of the best like and one of the first like black horror roles ever. Like
Mm,
and it is so it's so well done. He is such a hero and such a take charge person. Like everybody would be falling apart if not for this guy. And then at the very end, they just are like, get it, like, oh, shoot him.
mhm.
Like, and it's just like to me, it really like for it was a fun movie, but if you watch it now, it kind of sucks the air out of the room. Like you're like, oh yeah, that.
Yeah.
Okay. But then they just move on, you know, they're like, okay, look, looks like we've
Mhm.
taken care of this. Like, so yeah, very
Mhm.
interesting and very like, yeah, you don't think it's gonna go where it goes, but then it does. And it's yeah, I think that's why it's one of the favorites even now.
Yeah, I know. I think it was easier to handle watching it in black and white. My
Mm.
understanding is that they filmed it in a suburb just outside of Pittsburgh.
Oh wow. I did not know that it
Yeah,
was in Pittsburgh.
there's some place around Pittsburgh, George A. Romero. And just think about that. That's 1968. And it it's in black and white, so I'm not sure. I'm guessing it wasn't the biggest budget, but
Hmm.
you know, well, yeah, there that no, The Exorcist, The Exorcist, William Peter Blatty.
Right, one of the first movies to like make people leave, you know, the theater fainting and you know, ambulance is called and whatnot.
I think one of the things that got me the most about it, other than it's horrific, just the horrific content was just the whole presentation of someone losing complete control of themselves.
Yeah.
Just that, to you see, I see milder forms of that, but to see everything, just no, she wasn't, she wasn't her anymore. She was like just these things, and it was, yeah,
Hmm.
yep,
You know, and movie for me was them checking her out like medically was like having this kid go through all these tests, some of them hurting her, some of them like you know these terribly huge machines doing all these things
mm,
like um I remember when I was watching it like I definitely had that moment of just like oh that's the scariest thing because there are lots of, you know, the US health system is by no means the best as much as we try to say it is, right? And like it makes me think of like, you know, when someone's like, "Oh, I feel weird. What is that?" And then you just go through all these horrible tests and the doctors just kind of go like which is basically like what they did to her. And she was a kid, so it's like hard for kids to communicate like what's going on with them. Um so yeah, that's always like the scariest part of that movie for me whenever I see it. Like everything that comes
right,
after is
yeah.
almost like you caused this by putting her in all those machines.
William Friedkin, that was the guy that directed it. William Friedkin,
Hmm.
yeah. Here's one. Remember Linda Blair? You know Linda Blair, who was Megan in the movie. She and Rick James were an item for a while.
What?
Yeah. Mhm. Yep.
I
She
mean,
and
okay, I saw her in roller disco, and girl was looking good. I mean, girl was looking thick. So
mm,
that totally makes sense to me that Rick James would look at a young, nubile Linda Blair and be
mhm.
like, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
he was
That's I had no idea. That's
looking.
awesome.
Yep.
That's a date I would want to be a fly on the wall for sure.
Yeah, Rick James. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's interesting that you can tie him to Eddie Murphy, Linda
Yeah.
Blair, Neil Young.
Neil Young. Okay, how are we tying him?
Him and Neil Young were in a band together, and they were called the Minor Birds, and they were signed to Motown Records, but Motown never released the tapes they did because when they recorded together, together. Rick was AWOL from the army, and
Oh,
Neil Young was just basically passing through to get to California to eventually join the Buffalo Springfield.
whoa. So just kind of like ships passing in the night, kind of.
Yeah, I'm going off the beaten path. You're supposed to be interviewing me.
No, please, this is wonderful. Jared said that you are a fountain of wisdom and knowledge, so this is wonderful. You're making connections in places that I would never, so that's really cool. Um, I also kind of going back to like the Wolfman and that whole idea, like was it
Oh,
the dis I'm sorry, what?
I love that movie. I really did.
That's
Was it
so
like
awesome.
1940 something? It was like, 42 something. It's in the 40s, early 40s. You can tell if you look at the suits too, the suits they're wearing. You
That's
can
amazing.
see
Recently, and I know that you kind of were like, I don't really see like current movies, but Disney slash Marvel tried to do this kind of almost an homage to the old classics where it was called One Night a Werewolf. And
Mhm.
and they really tried very hard to like it was black and white, like the first one. They did a version that was in color and it was very like, why did you do this? But it's like kind of this story kind of about a werewolf, but just told in a different. They were just really trying to go for that like mystic and kind of um like atmospheric kind of horror. But to
Mhm.
me, it was still too like I could see too much special effects. Whereas like in the Wolfman in the 40s, you weren't doing special effects the way that we can do them now. Um,
Yeah, you use your imagination and a lot of stop time filming.
yeah, exactly. And then they also, I mean, to make it almost look like hazy and black and white like the Wolfman, there was so much like filters and like CGI they had to put on the film to make it look
Back
like
then, it was
that.
the lighting. It was just
Yeah.
natural lighting. And
Hmm.
I don't know much about cinematography, but I do know somebody that's into it. And the understanding is like the way they would light for black and white is much different than the way they light for color, which is
Hmm.
why when they colorize old black and white, it looks kind of weird.
Yeah, it's almost like when you choose like I just recently printed something that was supposed to be just black and white and I chose grayscale instead. And grayscale looks awful. It's not black and white. It's not monochromatic. It's like
Yeah,
all the so with color, I feel like you're getting all the colors in between. Whereas with black and white, you're trying to film for black and white. You don't need
shade,
all of the stuff in
shades, shades, shadows, tones,
exactly.
transitions, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And I do like the idea that like it's true. Um the Wolfman, I think, yeah, is a little bit more uncomfortable in his role as a Wolfman because it's like, oh no, like, or kind of very Jekyll and Hyde. Like, that was something he did, but he like really couldn't control the change. So yeah, it's almost like you could put the classic monsters into two buckets, and one is like, you know who you are, you've been this thing all your life, or you just got randomly bit or attacked in some way and now you have to live with this new problem that will plague
Mhm.
you every full moon or every time you get a little upset. And that's really interesting because it's two different like I don't know, it's two different tracks, I guess. Like the mummy is always the mummy. I mean, I guess before they were mummified, they were a person. I would love to see that. I'd love to see. I feel like I guess that's why the movie The Mummy from the 90s got so like so much like play. They did a lot of cool special effects, but you also got to see the mummy before he was a mummy. And you got to understand that the whole reason he did it was for love or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That one the newer one they made, the scarabs, the bugs, that's
Oh yeah. The scarabs are the scare. Yeah, that is like one of the scariest parts for sure.
oh,
That was like special effects that actually held up in the like back then. Because I think now we would. look at that and kind of be like, ugh. But it was effective. It definitely like
Mm,
freaked me out because then they were like
mm.
crawling like under the like, ugh, gross.
That's what I'm saying. That,
Yeah.
that was like, oh my God, man. But,
Um,
mm,
Cool. Something I also wanted to mention, we always, we send an email before we have the interview, to just kind of like talk about, just to get your like mind moving about like what, what's
mm,
up, what's going, like what horror do you like? What horror do you not like? And you mentioned that you kind of aren't really watching anything new. Why is that?
because there's enough horror turning on the news. Oh no,
I mean, you ain't wrong.
no, seriously, no. It's just, I, you know, I, I haven't seen, and I've looked at trailer after trailer after trailer, and hit, they haven't hit me in the way I'd be curious enough to
Hmm.
to see them. I mean, Saw, and I was thinking of some of the other ones too, but I didn't consider them to be horror, so to speak, like The Purge. Now, I wouldn't consider that to necessarily be horror, but it's pretty horrific premise. Um, you're There's some of the supernatural things, paranormal activity,
Mm.
you know, which I don't know if you call that horror, but it definitely has a bent to it, you know. I
Yeah, I
like
mean, I
you
thought
know, the more,
Paranormal Activity was one of my favorite films, like when it came out. Like it was a complete shock to the system, for me, where I had been, the Saws and all of the Purge. Like you're just like, okay, what is this? But to me, like Paranormal Activity really stood out. And yeah, you're right, like it's not necessarily like blood and gore, but it was terrifying, like in a very Exorcist way. Yeah, absolutely.
sometimes, it seems to me the best horror films kind of make you scare yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they kind of make you scare yourself. It's,
Yeah, I agree. I like my favorite horror movies are kind of ones where they don't explain what's going on. We don't really get to see the thing that's driving people insane or whatever. So yeah, that's why I
you
liked
wouldn't
Paranormal
be.
Activity.
Are you talking about that? Like, there's another sub genre that, and I was going to touch on this because you mentioned that, the found footage thing,
Mm,
the whole found footage kind of genre, the Blair Witch Project from 19, was it
hmm
1999? Was that it?
I
Was
think
it?
so.
Yeah. hmm how that became kind of a thing, where
Hmm
somebody found this footage of this, whatever, the ring, things like that.
hmm
Yeah, that's an interesting. Now that you got me talking about it, I got my gears grinding, and I can gears
Woohoo!
going.
Yeah, no, it's true though. And again, like you mentioned that you didn't really like watch movies, but you're hitting on all the classics for sure. So you're in the right zone. Yeah, Blair Witch was I think maybe the first and last horror movie that my mother ever watched with me. And that night she told me I had to sleep in her bed. Like she was like, I can't be alone." And I'm like, "I understand," because it was so scary.
Those crazy kids made her scare herself.
They totally did. And I think just the realness, because there really wasn't like found footage films out there. And now I feel like that was kind of a jumping off point to be making more. Like there are people on YouTube that make like horror that, it's all found footage horror, but it's terrifying and very low budget, but also very like fun and
Which
terrifying.
but that's what makes it effective, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
supposed to look like it was bunch of college kids that were doing a student thing, didn't
Yeah.
have any money.
Yeah, exactly. I saw I can't remember I can't remember the director, but there's like a young kid that's been doing a lot of found footage and just putting them on YouTube. Or there was one where people were doing a seance using a Zoom. They were just doing a Zoom seance like to kind of just break the monotony of like COVID lockdown and like make, just summon something as a joke. And then it actually gets summoned and people get attacked in their homes. And you see it only through Zoom windows. So, yeah, it's terrifying. I'll try to find the name of the movie for you because it is so scary and is very and it's only like a 40-minute film. So it's not even that like long. It's just a really short film that is
That's
like,
40 minutes of pure hell.
oh yeah, it's just I mean it really like it starts off pretty slow, but it gets like by the end you're just like, "Oh God." Like so yeah, I thought it was really cool and yeah, I even think that, using different formats like this, like we're all on video chats and Zooms now, like people are using this as, or there's like whole movies where like the whole movie is told through a phone. And sometimes those don't pay off, but sometimes they do because it's like, well, I have a phone and this has happened to me where I haven't, been able to find a friend for like a 12 hours or 24 hours and been like, where are you?
Mhm.
Um, there's one where like a woman like goes on a vacation or something and her daughter like has to find her and realizes that like whoever she went with on this trip is like a mystery person and is actually secretly like a serial killer or something. And so she's like doing all of this on the phone though. So yeah, it's really interesting like sometimes that gets a little too much for me because it's a little too fake. But whenever they try to keep it as real, like as close to like the kind of Blair Witch footage that has been
Mhm.
found type of story, that usually works
Mhm.
better. But now, I mean, people are doing all kinds of things now.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well, it's been
interesting.
25 years since that movie.
You're right. I somebody literally was just saying like, oh, it was Rotten Tomatoes was making these like, there was like the top 50 or top 20 movies of the 2000s or like of the last 25 years. And they were like, okay, so anything from 1999 to now. And I'm like, 1999 was 25 years ago? Like, time is just, is, I feel like
Yes.
literally, like even before this interview, I was like, "Oh, I have 45 minutes." And then I looked at my watch and it was like, "You have 5 minutes actually." This is how it is now. Do you
Well,
know that like I feel like it's definitely a thing like as you get older, like because you are not experiencing so many like large milestones that it feels like time is just going way faster. Do you feel that as well?
yeah. Mhm.
Good. I'm because sometimes I literally feel like I'm in a time warp, like that I'm like in a place where I'm like, who's pressing the fast forward button?
It's not just you. It's not
Okay.
just you. I've talked to so many people that have said the same thing. This year's gone by like quick, real quick.
Like how is it October? Like even I had to literally and I felt bad. I was like, hey therapist, I'm gonna touch base with you tomorrow or next week because I have too much going on. How did 2 weeks already go by? I don't even know like when was the last time we spoke, but it's like just there's too much going on all at once. And also like my Halloween like prep time is it's like compounded because now I have a 4-year-old. So not only am I trying to dress myself, but dress a
To
child.
drop the boy there.
So it's
But you want to know?
crazy.
But you
P.S.
want to know
She,
what?
oh yeah,
Don't worry, Lindsey. You are resilient. You will get it done.
thank you. P.S. She's gonna be a vampire this yeah, she'll be a vampire this year. She didn't want to be like a unicorn or a princess. She wanted to be a vampire. We got her this fake teeth. All she's been doing is walking around in fake teeth forever. It's been the best. So now I can tell her like, "Oh my God, you're embracing the classics already. You're only 4. This is great."
Yeah, that's all the classic. Yeah, the classic vampire, the classic look, and you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to draw one on for her. That's amazing. Well, I promise to at least send you a pic because it might be scary. She might do a better job than Lugosi. I don't know. She's really into it. She's really full-throated going in there, like trying to bite my neck and stuff. And I don't think she even like fully understands the concept of a vampire. So it's been
You know
interesting.
what? You, I mean, now you mentioned something about garage rock horror
Oh
records or
yes.
that mix
Please.
that.
Okay. So yeah, so Jared said that you were like a garage rock horror like 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 authority. And I
I
wanted to
know
know
some
what
of that
that
stuff.
meant.
Well, there's like the 1960s had garage rock that was very Halloweeny slash horror oriented. Some of it there was a box set that came out in 1999, I think 98, and it was a reissuing of a 27 song various artists album called Nuggets, original artifacts from the first psychedelic era, 1965 to 68. Eddie Smith's guitarist Lenny Kaye put it together. Had these 27 different bands from all over the country that were young, decidedly unprofessional, and they played at teen dances in their little hometowns. And one of the bands, so San Jose, California, and they call themselves the Count Five. The reason they call themselves the Count Five was they would appear on stage in fluffy shirts and Dracula capes, and they had this one
Lovely.
hit song. They had this one hit song called "Psychotic Reaction," and as a matter of fact, on October the 22nd, 1966, some 48 years ago, it was the number 5 song in the country.
Wow. What was the
Flanging
name
and
of that
Freak
again?
was called Psychotic Reaction. It's by this group called Count Five. They're from San Jose, California. It was their only hit song. And if you heard it, it sounds like it sounds like it sounds like the Yardbirds.
Okay. Oh man. Also, psychotic reaction, honestly, like for that time is pretty emo. Like that's a pretty emo little title.
Precisely. And it was oh yeah, 1960, Werewolf by the Frantics. Oh my God. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
no, the guy who's doing the growling and the snarling, it's pretty scary stuff. And
Heck
it's,
yeah.
um, I want to check that out if you can find it. Werewolf by the Frantics from 1960. It's from like all those years ago. That's pretty cool. There's ooh, um, oh yeah. I Want My Baby Back by Jimmy Cross.
Okay.
That song is messed up. It's considered to be one of the worst records ever. Anyway,
Oh
it's good.
wow. So what I was when you were talking about like the first thing that popped into my head when you said garage rock Halloween was a and this is like to me it's a good to me it's like when you enjoy a movie that's really bad, like so bad it's good. The
Hmm.
band The Shags.
Oh my,
Yeah.
it's Halloween.
It's Halloween,
Yeah,
it's
the Wiggin
Halloween.
sisters.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, even Dracula will be there.
That's my that's my
It
favorite
sounds
one.
like the drummer's not even playing the same tune.
No.
The from their album Philosophy of the World.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That album rips. Like we used to listen to it all the time, but It's Halloween is like in anytime I'm putting on a Halloween playlist of any kind, I throw that in there and people are like, what is this? Why even Dracula will be there. Like it's so good. Um so yeah, that's what I was
Plus
thinking when you
guitar.
said, but you're obviously like
Yeah,
picking.
yeah. So you surprised I know
No,
about
I'm
that.
I'm so happy
You
you
surprised I
do.
know about that.
I feel like validated that you know, because I was like, is like Halloween Grudge Rock like the Shags? It's Halloween. That's immediately what I thought. So you obviously are picking some like ones that are actually scary. We're actually on compilation. So I'm also writing these down because I'm gonna add them to my party playlists for sure.
Psy- Psycho and the Witch by the Sonics from Tacoma, Washington.
Ooh.
Psycho and the Witch. Yeah.
Yeah, these are all, I don't know why. I feel like we don't make music spooky enough anymore, and this all sounds great. Like
Oh, yeah.
they even brought back like Ryan Gosling, the actor, he made a whole album with a friend called Dead Man's Bones, where he did a bunch of like spooky because he was like, we me and my friend love Halloween, and they got like children's choir to like help them do the whole album. And
Mhm.
it's like really spooky, but it's also like, kind of twee, kind of cute. Um, whereas like and I feel like, the Cramps kind of sound spooky, but
Oh,
but like I
oh,
don't
yeah.
necessarily know if you would like put them in like a Halloween genre. They're kind of more like, like horror billy or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly what that's what I right with that. That's
That's
definitely
amazing.
right with that.
All right. Any more rockin' hits that I need to look up?
Mm. Um, mm, let me see. Oh my gosh. Well, the one that's more humorous than anything. I Want My Baby Back by Jimmy Cross,
Okay.
where his girlfriend gets in a car accident and she's torn to pieces, but
Ooh,
he can't do without her, so he ends up climbing in a coffin with her afterwards.
okay. This is amazing. That's some morbid crap back in the day. Damn.
I think
Though
that's
like,
from 1964.
okay, 64. I mean, I feel like, yeah, that's so funny because I really do feel like, you know, people really knew how to write a damn love song back in the day, but like they never got that crazy about it. Like, I want to crawl in a grave with my baby. Like that's wild.
I'm telling you.
That's amazing. Wow. This is so good. I'm gonna, so what's the name of this compilation again that you were
Nuggets.
no, oh, it's Nuggets.
Nuggets.
Oh my God. So um my husband is a big ass Nuggets fan, but I don't know, there are like a couple songs that we really love. And one is I had too much to dream last night.
Electric Prunes is the first song on there. It's the first song on the first side.
It's so
Yep.
good. Um
hmm
yeah, you
Seattle,
can definitely
Washington.
how like it's so funny because I feel like we're also like in a world where, we're trying to legalize weed. Weed's being legalized. And so many of the like a lot of when I hear Nuggets and I look at the bands, I'm like, y'all were on some drugs. Like some of y'all were just really on some drugs. 'Cause like some of the songs are just like so loopy and strange.
No, I know. All right, there we go. Oops, I had a glitch. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I was just saying that, like, we're trying to legalize weed, and everybody, like, whenever I listen to Nuggets, I'm like, man, a lot of these young men were on drugs. Like,
And the thing is that when you get to when you're talking about the 1965 and 1966 stuff, you can tell. I mean, to the public in the public eye, you could tell something was happening, but you weren't sure what. Now picture
mm,
this: Gladys and Agnes are sitting at the table, and they're talking about their suburban lives, and Agnes tells Gladys about her son. I don't know. He comes home at 4:30 in the morning with his sunglasses on.
it's true. I'm like, yeah, like, it's so just like, what's
You know?
going on here?
hmm Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like in 1967, where all the kids, on the cover of Time and Life magazine had their tongues hanging out with sugar cubes sitting there,
Mm.
just letting the cat out of the bag. It's like,
Exactly. Like it wasn't it was more undertoned until later when it was just like surprise, like we're all on
Hmm.
drugs.
Right.
Tune whatever, drop in, tune out, whatever. Like I don't know. It's very interesting like just how like I don't know, how music changes, how like society and music go hand in hand. They change together. The way our world is like speaks directly to the music we make. Um, that's why it's interesting to be in a time like now where things are just so wild. Like, I don't even want to think about election day, because I'm terrified. But it's like, you know, we're all listening to music that's very like, oh, party, 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 party. It's a party time. And I'm just like, I, I don't feel that way right now. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like I'm slogging through things.
Well, listen, I can understand you. You've got a youngster. You've got a 4-year old, and I think you want the best, not just for yourself, but for her, because
Hmm.
she's totally the future, and something has to, you got to give them something to build on. You can't
Yeah.
just tear everything to pieces and then leave it up to the youth to do anything. And you know, it's just for me. I didn't want to go. I didn't originally want to go here, but I will. It's gonna be up to us. It's not gonna be the law, the court systems, the whatever, it, whatever. The it's up to us. It's
Yeah.
up to us. It's up to us, and the whole world is hoping that the whole world's hoping that we do the right thing.
It's so
So,
true. They really, I
yeah,
mean, yeah, everybody is. It makes me think of
mhm.
like I keep having flashbacks to the last time that Trump was elected. I was watching it at a friend's house, and we all thought this isn't going to happen. We're going to be fine. I got a bottle of wine. We watched what was going on. As the night unfolded, I realized that I'd like been chewing my cuticles to like raw, like I was bleeding from every finger of wine. I had no idea. Just was like, "Oh, it's gone. Oh my God." So I remember hopping into an Uber pool. So we were picking up people and dropping off people on my way home, and it was all women, all as drunk as me, and all we kept saying to each other was, we got each other. All we have is each other now. Like it's just up to us now. And so what you said just reminded me of that moment because if things come down to it, that's what I'm going to say to myself again as I'm chewing through my fingers and as I'm trying really hard not to like overindulge. Maybe I'll go to bed before I do anything, but it will just be like that's all we have. Like it's so true. Sorry I made you go there. Totally didn't
Mm.
mean to.
No,
Um,
it's all right. But the bottom line is, it's not just me. It's not just you.
mhm.
It's a lot of people.
Absolutely.
It's on a lot of us. And whatever that decision is the one that we're gonna have to. It's the one that we're gonna have to live with. But I will tell
Absolutely
you
true.
this. I will tell you this. Um, it's we the law. The law should apply to everybody. There should not be anybody. We didn't design our laws for anyone to be exempt.
Hmm.
So that's one thing. But I was given the power. I was given the power to cast a ballot to vote. So this is what I did, and
Hmm.
I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I have, and I'm glad I make an effort to be aware of what's going on and what's around me, and try uh, to find out this result. This thing.
I'm sorry, you cut out at the very end there.
I said I want to make sure that I make the I make I have the best resolve.
Yeah,
Nobody's perfect, but come on. And
come on.
that's what I, yeah, as well. I'll leave that.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending time with me today. Um, Before we go, is there anything that's going on in your life currently that you'd like to I don't know, signal boost? Anything that you're up to that you're working on?
I got some stuff that I'm gonna be doing in the works. I'm gonna be uh, doing some actual house music tracks, and I've never played house music like on a bass. I'm gonna be playing some like actual Chicago house stuff.
Hell
Usually I play
yeah.
rock, yeah, like rock, jazz, blues, all things of that nature. But this is gonna be my first foray into that. And there's a there's an indie movie that someone I know has done that I've been cast in. That's in the works. It's been filmed, and they're doing all of the effects and stuff that need to be out. And the other movie, and it's based on the Fallout game, and it's called Fallout Highway. It's going to be based on the very first chapter of the game, like back in.
Wow.
So
Well,
yeah,
because they just, they also have that show, they have the Fallout series on Prime. So
hmm
people are going to be clamoring for that because I mean, the series is over. They're going to do another season, but in between, it'd be really
hmm
great I really hope that they get just a lot of views for that. That's awesome.
yeah, there's that. And,
Is there,
hmm,
what did you, can you talk about like kind of what you play in that film?
yeah, I'm a first scene. I'm a merchant there. I'm a merchant, and he needs some futuristic fuel for his car right away, and I give him the stuff, but he's got to give me this special little watch, this special trinket, figures, which I still haven't figured out how it figures in yet. But I'm basically just a scavenger merchant guy.
Very
I've got
cool.
a scene, goggles and ratty old army jack,
Nice.
looking
Oh
all
man, I'm so excited.
very,
Well,
very early Mad Max and stuff. It's
awesome.
pretty
Well, please let Jared know when that comes out because we'd love to talk
cool.
to even the filmmakers about it. That'd be so much fun.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure you'd
great.
be
Well,
I'm sure you'd be happy to help to talk to you.
thank you. Yeah. And then also, yeah, best of luck on the house music. As someone who I think I've lived in Chicago I've stayed in Chicago longer than I've stayed anywhere else in my life. So, even though I am not from there originally, I love everything about it and house music being one of them. So, I'm very excited for that. So, best of luck with how that goes. And yeah, thank you so much for talking to me a little bit today.
Oh yeah, my
Thank
pleasure.
you, Tony.
You got it. No problem.
And that's the episode. Thank you so much for watching, listening, whatever you're doing right now. Also wanted to note, Tony talks about the Wolfman quite a bit and just kind of about how like it's a character that is someone who's like, I don't want to be doing what I'm doing. They are making a new one. I saw a trailer in it when I went to see Smile 2. There is a new Wolfman. It's got great actors in it and it looks really good and it also looks very like he doesn't want to be doing what he's about to do. Around his family. So yeah, I'm excited for that too. So go get on it and we'll talk about it later. All right, bye-bye.